Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Projectors Facebook page. We're back with another Q&A, this time for our pink screen offering Song Lang with the director Leon and actor Lien Binh Phat. Hi, guys. Just
Hello.
oh, and not to forget Burke, who's on Leon's lap at the moment.
This is Burke. Say hello.
Hey, Burke. All right, just for those of you who are just joining us, today's pink screen Q&A with the director and actor from Song Lang, a Vietnamese film that we've been featured. We had 5 sold out screenings at the cinema, and now it's available online on our platform, the Projector Plus. So do go ahead and rent it if you have not caught it. So, and Leon's joining us from New York, so he woke up really early for us, and Phat's joining us from Ho Chi Minh City. Thank you guys once again. All right, Leon, maybe we can, we can kickstart a bit about, how you came about choosing this theme. I mean, it is your first feature, and I'm wondering, instead of going for a contemporary film, set in New York that you may be familiar with, you decided to go to Vietnam, set something in the 80s with, intense sets and costumes and all. Pretty ambitious, but what were the reasons behind it?
Yes, so basically I was obsessed with cải lương when I was growing up, and my dream was to become a cải lương performer. But then I moved to the States with my parents when I was 13. And so 20 years later, I went back to Vietnam in 2007, and I was hoping to stage a live production on stage of cải lương, Trọng Thủy Mỹ Châu, which is the one that ended up I used in the movie as well.
So you wrote that opera?
For the film, I co-wrote the opera with someone else, with another composer.
Okay.
And but it's a very well-known story.
Okay.
And in 2007, when I arrived in Vietnam, I realized that my goal, it was a little unrealistic, because cải lương was kind of like a dying art form. There's no audience for it anymore. And even though I was willing to take a financial loss doing this project, I knew that artistically I'm not going to be able to get what I expected. So, and at that time, the film industry in Vietnam was on the rise. So I figured if I turn this into a film project, at least it's going to be there forever, and I'll be able to share it with global audience. And that's the moment that I decided I'm going to switch it over to a film project. Before that, I didn't really have a ambition to be a film director. My first passion was on stage. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And what particularly was your interest in cải lương, though? I mean, in Singapore, we have a similar version of Chinese
yes,
opera.
I actually saw it on YouTube, and it's so close to cải lương in Vietnam. Because people comparing cải lương with Peking opera, which I think there's some similarity, because it's also, the cải lương keep changing, and it's also influenced a lot by Peking opera in terms of costume and some melodies and such. But the one in Singapore is so close to what we have in Vietnam. From the makeup and the costume and
So were you ever trained in this art form?
No, I was never trained in it. But when I was doing research to write the film, I did take a lot of lessons, and I went to I follow a lot of cải lương troupe touring around the country and see how they live. And I befriended a lot of cải lương artists, and I get a lot of helps and a lot of backstage stories from them.
Okay. Yeah. And what was the casting process for this? I mean, after you had your script, was it easy to find performance for it?
The casting for the role of Dũng, Thunderbolt, was easy, which I thought was going to be more difficult. The hardest part was to convince the producers willing to let me cast an unknown person.
Right.
But with Phat, he was one of the first actors that show up to the casting, and the moment he walked in, I have a feeling that this is the guy. But he was a little short. So the technical issue is if he was going to sit on the bike, because we had a script, so I knew that there's going to be 2 scenes of them walking together and another scene of them riding the bike. So it will look weird if this this macho gangster riding a bike and then the Cải Lương person, the Cải Lương artist, is like towering him in the back. It doesn't look, visually, it doesn't look, like how to protect the other guy. So
wait,
that
so
was
is Isaac taller than Phat?
Isaac is a little taller. So if you pay attention, like when
Not
you're walking,
too much.
like Phat wearing a little, his sandals a little thick.
Yeah, you need to give him like some few platforms.
Yeah. But casting Isaac was the hardest part. Casting for the role of Lien Binh was a little challenging because first of all the requirement is you have to be able to sing and do the choreography for Cải Lương. I don't want to use a singing double. Mm-hmm. But most of the young Cải Lương artists came into audition. They can't really balance between the stylized stage acting and the film acting. And the young film actors came in. None of them can sing Cải Lương. And so Isaac, Isaac was a balance between those. He able to do to meet both requirements. So a lot of people think that I cast Isaac because he's a pop star and have big fan base. That was not the case. He had to go through the casting process just like everyone else. Right.
But was it easy directing an established, artist in a way?
Directing Isaac is a challenge because he's very stubborn. But directing Phat was easy.
Easy.
He just do whatever I tell him. So
yeah, because it's Phat's first feature also, right?
I'm the newcomer, so I'm always follow the director.
But what attracted you to big audition for the character? Was there something in particular that attracted you to the role?
You mean when I read the script, I really like the story, the old story, and especially the character Dũng, and when I finished the script, when I closed the script, oh my God, I feel so there's a lot emotion.
Right.
It make me want to be crying. Crying, yes. So,
which is okay.
I can say I really like the character for the first time when I read the script.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, but did you know Leon at all, or you?
Pardon?
No, we did not know each other.
Mm-hmm. Right. So
he was recommended to me by a friend who was casting him for a Vietnamese reality show. And that friend is actually played the guy in the diner who beat up Lien Binh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And Phat, were you worried at all about because there is like some LGBT subtext, or not so much subtext, but the storyline. Were you worried that it may impact like your future career, or that you might be typecast in a certain way?
They actually when in the casting call, a little worry because but I told lie. I say that no, I didn't worry about anything because I really want to be cast for the film because it's my big opportunity. I said that no, I don't. I didn't care anything about this. But I had a little worry, but
Yeah.
it's lucky for me when in the project when I have time to work with Leon, when I work with when I have the chance to go abroad, to go everywhere, and I have the open mind about LGBT. Yeah, I think this is the good result for the film. This is one of the things the film can bring for me.
And I understand that it's also brought you new roles after that. So congratulations on that. Yeah, you're currently working on a feature film yourself. You're acting in a film now.
Are you working on a film now?
Oh yes, the Song Lang is my first film, and then Song Lang lead me, bring me so many chance, so many opportunity. I had the second film, commercial film in Vietnam, and now I have I had a third film, a feature film in Japan last year. Yeah, I shot it.
Okay.
Yes, but it's not released. And I have another film in Vietnam now.
All right,
So
we'll be looking
many
forward.
opportunity from Song Lang.
That's good. Leon, I mean, I think to address about the queerness of the film, I think, if you don't read too much into the text and you just watch it, you don't realize it's a queer film because there's a lot of silences and, words unspoken and all that. So was there a reason why you were avoiding any physical contact beyond like the walk and the motorcycle ride between these two male characters?
Yes. I mean, there's a lot of people thinking that it has a lot to do with censorship, but actually, LGBT film in Vietnam is completely fine. There are more out there gay films in Vietnam being embraced by the audience or the censorship board. And actually, my producers were pressuring me to have the two character at least touch. At first, they were like, "Can we have a sex scene?" So I'm like, "How are you going to put in the sex scenes?" And then, "Can it be a dream sequence?" I'm like, "No." So they're like, "Okay, well, if we can't have the sex scenes, can we have them kiss?" I'm like, "No." So they negotiate down to like, can they just touch, a light touch? And we actually went out and reshoot the scene when they say goodbye at the window.
Right.
And then Dũng was like picking on the plants, and he leaned over, and they like, when he leaned over, let him touch, and like 4 eyes locked. So cheesy. So I was like, yes, sure, whatever. So I took the money and I took the crew out and we shot something else. And then we came back and they are like, where is it? I'm like, well, it didn't fit. It didn't feel right once we got to the set. So I didn't shoot it because, if I shot it, they're going to use it. So
use it.
you don't give them that opportunity. But, the reason is the same with my two other short films that I did before, Dawn and Talking to My Mother. They also very much the same style. Because I feel like with gay and particularly gay film and or LGBT themed, even when you just look at a poster, usually it's a naked torso or a naked guy or and the film, most of it has a lot of sex and nudity. Most of the time, to me, it's unnecessary for the narrative, but it's there to attract viewers.
Right.
So I want to see if I can tell a love story, a gay love story, without any of those elements, and still able to capture the audience heart and soul, and feel for the character and follow them through however long the story is, without any of those.
Right.
So the same thing I applied with the feature film. And also, it's interesting because when we have this screening, most of the time only at gay film festival and gay audience are the one that asking me, are these characters gay?
Oh,
Because not straight audience, because
right.
like 99.9% straight audience, like they assume this is gay, a gay love story, because to them, like no two men would be that intimate already. And
Right.
same for me, I feel like the movie is so clear that this is a gay love story, because the you know, the intimacy between these two men on screen is obvious for me. But to gay audience, like, well, it's not clear. Um, they're not gay enough. Is Linh Phụng the feminine one? Is Dũng supposed to
Right.
be like the top because he's masculine? I'm like, why are you stereotyping yourself? I thought I thought the purpose was like fighting all against
Yeah.
all of that stereotype. Just look at them as two men, and that those also one of the reasons that I don't want Linh Phụng to have any feminine traits at all. Of course, he's going to be softer compared to Dũng,
Yeah.
because we see him on screen as violence, and Linh Phụng is a a musical artist. But other than that, in their real life, Linh Phụng can beat up a guy as well.
Right.
And he argue and he fight back with Dũng as well. So I don't want to give any hint of like stereotype into, oh, he's an artist, so he's must be more feminine,
Right.
and Dũng is the top and Linh Phụng is the bottom. I get so many of these questions, and so many audience that if you see the comments, they're trying to guess, and a lot of them frustrated. I'm like, why can't they kiss? Why can't you be clear?
Yeah.
And I thought that was very interesting.
That's like, you go make your film, I'll make mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it's bad because and that's what I kind of appreciated, because there was this whole fluidity, like in terms of
Right.
sexuality, and not so much of labels of even whether Jung was bisexual or whatever.
Right.
It doesn't really matter. Like
Right. Exactly. I don't want to assign anything.
yes.
It's a love story, but Dũng and Linh Phụng, maybe it's not physical, or it could be if
Right.
it continue
Yeah.
on. If Dũng
Yeah.
didn't die at the end, and they go on, second, third, fourth date, whatever. We keep forgetting that they only been together for one night, and they only knew each other that one morning.
Right.
People want them to hook up immediately,
which usually happens. But yeah. I mean, but for yourself, do you see yourself as a queer filmmaker? Like for you, in terms of topics that you're going to do, because I understand your 2 short stories were also queer films.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I did not. Actually, at first, Song Lang was in a queer story. When I first initially writing the script, Dũng was falling in love with a female opera performer.
Right. Okay.
And then I thought, oh, that's kind of like, boring. If this macho guy falls in love with a female star, well, what if he's a gangster? He likes Cải Lương. That's already a secret.
Right.
Because in Vietnam, Cải Lương is being viewed as something that's very feminine, very melodramatic. So I like the idea of that this macho character, like being touched by this art form, and yet he has another layer of it, that he falls in love with a male Cải Lương performer, a male opera star. That would be more interesting. So that's when I switched over to like, oh, let's do that. So it wasn't originally a plan to be a queer love story.
Right, but do you think that then opened up the story to a new audience in a way that may not have an international audience? Like
yeah, definitely, and and I thought, okay, let's make a queer love story, but tell it to the way it's not conventionally being told, with the genre. But no, I don't think of myself as a queer filmmaker or set out to make only queer films. In fact, my upcoming projects, 3 or 4 of my upcoming projects has nothing to do with queer films.
3 or 4 upcoming projects?
Well,
Wow.
nothing realized yet.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but there's an element of also spirituality, like religion, that was that was constant throughout the film. The opening scene itself was at a temple where Phat was, and then there was some discussion about with the girls eating the guava and about religion, Buddhism, and Christianity, and then we see him going to the church after that. So after he finds out that they committed suicide. So was there a reason why you had these different religious elements threading the film?
Yes, because I always think of, in Vietnam, there's a big tradition of going to get your palm read and
fortune telling
and go and I always find it very fascinating with the whole praying. And I caught myself, I always tell myself that I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any religions, but when I'm on the flight, when I'm on the plane, and there's and when it's a rough plane ride, the first thing I do is I close my eye and I pray to Buddha. Do you know what I mean? So I find and then I felt very guilty because I'm like, oh my God, I keep telling myself that I'm an atheist and I don't believe in any of these things. And yet when I'm in need, when I'm scared, when I feel insecure, it does make me feel better.
I mean, what else are you going to do?
Exactly. So I thought it was interesting that, Dũng, even though, he's lost and he's scared and he's insecure, that's how he didn't turn to any of those things. That's how angry he was. That's how disappointed in life, and that's how let down he was by the world and in his mind. That he abandoned it all. And the people, and that's why I have both Buddhism and Catholic in the film. And those are the people who as the little child was asking him, like, well, when you lost, when you're scared, who do you talk to? He has no one, and he believed in no one. And then slowly, with Linh Phụng, and Linh Phụng is a representation of art and of beauty, of love, something that's missing in his life for a long time. Us entering his life and slowly introducing him, pulling him back into believing in life, believing something better, believing something bigger than himself. That's when he's starting to see this little hint of hopes and believing something else.
But it was also interesting that it wasn't definitive, like there was no conversion or anything. So that fluidity also beyond just sexuality went into spirituality also, where at the end, he also went to the Buddhist temple and he did that prayer and all. So I mean, to me that was quite interesting, and where people just, you don't need to believe in one thing in particular, like whichever offers you comfort, I think that could work for you. So I mean, I quite appreciate that. The other aspect of this. But Phat, I mean, was it challenging playing this character, because you had this violent thug kind of thing, but then also a sensitive guy who waters plants, played Nintendo, and so I mean, for you, was it a challenging role?
Okay, if we mention about challenges, I think I have so many challenges. Okay, the first challenges for me is because I am this is my first film in my career.
Yes.
And I am not a professional actor before until we finished this film. So acting is difficult for me. I didn't know how to act, how to show my emotion, and so this the reason why I follow absolutely Leon Lay. And violin is not difficult for me because I yeah I
He meant
do
action.
I act every day, but uh, I think the big challenge for me is the guitar skill, right? How to say?
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
the moon loop.
Song Lang.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God! It's so difficult for me. Although the director gave me the money to take a course before, and a little lazy. I think so. I think so. I didn't finish. I didn't. I think if I I focus, I can make it more perfectly
Right. So I'm guessing you were not.
at the music scene.
So you were not playing the instrument in real life, I presume.
Not
I
even
don't
close.
no.
He barely played it in the movie.
Right. So there was okay. But the singing, Isaac singing, was that real? Or?
Yes, that was
Yeah.
actually
Okay.
singing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I mean, I believed it. So
Oh, that's
then,
great.
yeah, Fat. I mean, that was very good acting then.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. We have a question from Corey here, who saw Song Lang at the film fest in Manila. Yeah, her question was, what were your influences at that time while making the film in terms of the 80s setting? And because I must say your set design, or the look of it was so beautiful. It reminded me a bit of like a Wong Kar-wai kind of aesthetic too. Like, so I'm wondering, what were your influences in filmmaking? And
Yes. So definitely, if you watch Song Lang, is undeniably that I'm very heavily influenced by. I'm a big fan of Wong Kar-wai's work, but as I've mentioned to a few people before, that when they're talking about like, oh, why everything in Song Lang looks so much Wong Kar-wai, well, that's how Vietnam looks.
right,
Like that's the building that first of all we shot at, almost the entire film in Chinatown, and
okay,
it's all on real locations. So that's how Vietnam looked. It just happened to look like Hong Kong in the 80s, and
right,
it's the same color, it's the same texture, um, and also with Wong Kar-wai style, I've always drawn to those kind of story, of longing, of lost, of yearning, of wandering, of memories. Uh, that's just me ever since I was little. So when I discovered Wong Kar-wai's film, basically I just discovered, you can say, a soulmate in terms of
right,
filmmaking. So it's not through Wong Kar-wai that I find this thing interesting, or I fall in love
right,
with the style. It's always in
yeah,
me. I'm always interested in them, and it just happened that
yeah,
Wong Kar-wai fits that genre. Without Wong Kar-wai, I'm still gonna be in love with Chinatown, with the color, with that those kind of stories. But if I think if you pay attention closely, the way I tell the story, the narrative and the editing and the approach of the film is not so much like Wong Kar-wai at all. What we think look like Wong Kar-wai, it's just because the lush color,
yeah.
but I can't help it. That's how Vietnam look, especially is in the 80s.
Yeah. No, I was actually looking at Jung's house, and I was like, wow, that's like, I wouldn't imagine a gangster to be there, but it's like, with everything on the shelf, it's so well done. I was just like, wow, like really into it.
Thank you. And that's
But,
also, I want to it's all about breaking the stereotype, right? When I was writing Song Lang, I went to a Cải Lương studio to take private lessons, and there's another young guy, small, handsome, was taking the classes with me, and he was always late. So one day I was like, "Why are you always late?" And he's like, "Oh, because I'm working freelance, and sometimes I just get out late, and so I just show up whenever I can." So what do you do? What's your line of work? And he said, "I'm a debt collector." And mind you, he looks nothing like a debt collector. I mean, he looks like Lien Binh, not even Lien Binh Phat. He's very soft and gentle, and he spoke very soft spoken, always dressed very nicely. Like he looked like a student. And I was like, "You can't be serious." And he's like, he opened his bag, and in there's all of these weapons, like hammers and knives and and then he showed me this pocketbook with all of the clients' names and address, and it's real. He is real debt collector. And I was like, "Well, I'm in a Cải lương class. What do you want me to behave? I'm not gonna go in here and like a thug." And they know who I am, and they know if I can deal with them. Behind me there's still a team of a gang of people, so I don't go around and act like a gangster. I don't need to. When I show up at this these people that owes money, they know who I am. So like we are trained to think like so stereotype, especially in cinema in Vietnam. When you see a gangster, they always have to like act tough, and I'm like, but if you are tough, you don't need to act tough. And who to say that a gangster cannot be gay? Who to say that a gangster has to live like a gangster at home? What is a stereotype? What is a typical gangster apartment look like? It still has a door and a toilet and a bathroom and a bed. And who said that a gangster doesn't have a sense of style, right? Like all of this thing we assigned ourselves. Then, so I want to break the stereotype in terms of sexuality and that's why it's inspired. And also Dũng came from a musical theater, a musical background, and he's an artist. So who to say that at home he likes to keep things clean and make things look pretty.
With all the design, it's true. I mean, I'm not complaining. Like I totally love that.
No, you're not the first one. I'm like, why Dũng is so stylish?
Right, exactly.
But the funny thing is, like, to us now, looking back at that setting, we think it's romantic and beautiful. But when I was living in Vietnam in my childhood, that basically how life were in Vietnam during that time. I didn't think it was nice and romantic, because you watch a movie, you can't really smell reality, because probably it doesn't smell nice. You can smell the dirty market down the street, and I don't know, chicken and pigs living in the next floor up or whatever, So that's how.
I think that kind of goes back to I mean, this whole aspect of nostalgia. I mean, for you also not living in Vietnam and going back to, I mean, was there an element of exotification of what you remembered Vietnam to be, or that was exactly how it was, and you were just
definitely. I think in terms of like setting, that's how it was in my memory.
Right.
But of course, now with being removed for so long, there's certain nostalgia and romance the way I look at it now. So of course that's gonna transfer to the way I capture it on screen.
Sure.
And also, go ahead.
Yeah, so there was this line about time travel and using people, objects, and places. And to me, actually, while I was watching it, I was like, actually, this film itself was, a bit of a time travel, which, and admit, like, Ho Chi Minh so, beautiful. And actually, I was surprised that you said that you actually shot it in Chinatown, because I had assumed that it was in a soundstage or something, because. So that rooftop with the Cinco was actually a real rooftop?
We built that sign because, the sign is no longer there. But that's a real rooftop. and everything else is all on real locations. Because I figured, it's gonna be hard to recreate all of that in a soundstage, especially with the Viet film industry is still not there. I don't trust that they can recreate a set that look realistic. And also for the actors, I wanted for them to give them as much help as possible, especially like newcomers like that. I want them to live in a real space, and the less imagination, the better.
Yeah.
For the actor,
Right.
So yeah,
okay.
it was all on real locations.
Right. Okay. Was there anything about the film that you would have done differently after watching it, after you finished it? Or?
Of course, many things. Now looking back and watch the films again, there's all I see is like, oh, I wish I could do that better. I wish I would have thought something else, and we have more money, so we have more time to make everything better. But what's done is done. It's time to move on to something else, and
Right.
I did it with all my heart, and yeah. So
All right.
it is what it is.
Yes, an ending that wasn't too easy on everyone, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but maybe
yeah,
with a bigger budget, it's not going to be the same film.
Right.
If we have too much time in our hands, we have too much money to spend, it will be a completely different film, and it won't be it won't be able to touch the audience the way it is now.
Right, which often happens, right? Like when
Yes.
you have too much money, and then you just lose the plot,
right?
In a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, we are running a bit out of time, so just wanted to know if you guys have any plans. I mean, I understand that you're working on a few projects now. Are you able to share a bit of that?
Yes, I am working on a few new projects coming up, but with filmmaking, it's so you always live in the unknown. You never know what's going on. So I'm kind of like became superstitious, and I prefer to not talk about it until it's done.
All right.
If we talk about it, it's not going to happen. So please wait.
These are directing.
Yeah.
Are you writing?
Both.
Both. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And Phat, you're now finishing up a film?
Yeah, as I said before, I am shooting a film in Vietnam, and I hope I have a chance to. Last year we have a chance to casting for a Singapore film, but we delayed because
yes.
the COVID. Yes, 19. Right. Yeah.
Which film was it? Oh,
I hope I can have. This is a film. It's about from the director. Maybe Son Nguyen, I don't know.
Right. Okay. But a Singapore-based film. Okay.
A Singapore film.
Right. Well, I mean, hopefully, after COVID restrictions are lifted, you guys can find your way to Singapore. We'll be happy to host you at cinema too.
That'll be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight as we spoke with the director, Leon of Song Lang, and their lead actor, Lien Binh Phat. Once again, Song Lang is available on the Projector Plus video on demand. Do rent it. You have 48 hours to watch it each time you rent. Otherwise, there are some other films under Think Screen called Straight Up, Gender Blend, and Changing the Game. So don't miss out on that. It's going to be on for another couple of weeks. So do that. We hope you enjoyed today's session. If you have any more questions.
Can I plug in something really quick?
Yes, the photo book.
Yes. We have the English version of the photo book is being released in a month. So if you're interested, you can go to our Twitter page, which is Song Lang Film, or our Facebook page, Song Lang the Movie on Facebook, to get more information.
So those are the still images from the feature film?
Where it has a lot of beautiful behind the scenes and still images from the film, as well as backstage stories, the making and the interviews and stuff. We had the Vietnamese version, limited edition, 500 copies. It's all sold out. Due to the fan requests, we are releasing the English version.
Sure. And it'll be shipped internationally?
Internationally.
All right, perfect. Okay, we'll be looking out for that. And I know a few people who are looking forward to more photos of Phat also.
A lot of photo of Phat shirtless.
Yes, they've been stalking his Instagram page, and actually, I was asking everyone for questions, and someone was like, "Can you please ask them for their abs workout, please?" Like both for Leon and Phat. Like, I don't know if you can share your exercise workout before we round up this discussion.
I'm on a carb diet.
You are on a carb diet,
So just eating as much carb as you want.
right? And then exercising a lot, I imagine. Fad, how often do you exercise, or what's your gym routine?
Yeah, about I do it usually, but this the time before, but now it's sometimes.
Oh, really? And you look like that? That's very
Because of
good,
COVID.
G.
So
Yeah. I guess we all have to just do it at home then.
yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. Have a good night. Or good morning in that case.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a
See
good night.
you.
Thank you very much.